A quick rundown on the latest visa and stay permit regulations. This is a big one, so stick around and get the details. Welcome to the latest news from Bali and Indonesia. This is August 30th, 2023, and my name is Bruce. Selamat siang. What is the weather like today? It is 28.4 degrees Celsius, 63% humidity. Wind speed is a very mild 3.4 kilometers per hour, and it is another sunny, beautiful day here. I don't have the best news, however. And I hope the weather is better wherever you are, especially if you're here in Bali, because I don't know if you're going to want to hear everything that I've got to say today. So the regulation of the Minister of Law and Human Rights came out the other day, and, well, I'm going to talk about it today. It is a huge document, 115 pages, and I just got it last night. I've gone over some of the highlights, but it is so dense, so dense. I'm just going to go over the things that I think most people are interested in that watch this channel. So this is number 22 of 2023, and it's about visa and stay permits. It's called the Peraturan Menteri Hukum dan Hak Asasi Manusia Nomor 22 Tahun 2023. Visa dan Izin Tinggal. And there is a link to this down below, so you can download this. It is in Indonesia, but Google is your friend. Because I'm not going to cover all this. I've just, pusing. Just going through and looking at this. And so there is so much in this document concerning new visas and stay permits. And so it's effective August 24th, 2023. And as I said, there is a link down below. I'm going to warn you again that this is an extremely long document covering all types of visas. People working at sea, people doing this job, that job, just about everything. Indonesians who want to repatriate. So you can download this and you can go through and find the things that pertain to you. At this time, all valid visas and stay permits will continue to be honored. That is, if you have one now, or if it is in the process, those will be honored until the visa is over. These new regulations only apply to new applications. As far as renewals go, it's not clear if the old regulations will be used or if new ones will be. So, for example, my kitab ends next June, I think. I need to check on it. I'm not sure if I'm going to go by the old ones or the new ones. That's just something we're going to have to wait and see. The main thing right now is that we have to wait for the new regulations to be implemented. And, well, as you know, if you follow this channel, that could be weeks or months. In the meantime, there could be changes, additions, or deletions. So what we have now is, well, what we have now. So try not to get too stressed, although some of these changes, I think, are certainly going to cause stress for some people, unfortunately. I'm not even going to discuss all the investor visa information. I'm not really interested in that, and it is just very, very dense. If you want to know about that, download it and go through it. You can also take a look at Oki's channel. You know, he does this for a living, and so I'm sure he is going to have at least one, if not more, videos talking about this. So based on the comments here, when I discussed visas in earlier videos, the retirement visa is the one that seems to get most people concerned about. So let's take a look at what I see are the highlights of the visa as I've read it now. And as I said, there's 115 pages, so I have not gone over this in great detail. So let's talk about second home. The second home visa now includes second home, special expertise, world figures, the elderly, age 60 and above, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, and remote workers who are bound by work relationships outside of Indonesia. And so I'm going to talk about that too. First, let's take a look at the elderly. So the elderly is coming under second home now. And this takes the place of the retirement visa. The age has been moved up to 60 from 55. So those of you that were hoping at 55, waiting for 55, it's going to be 60 now. So applicants can either use a sponsor or what's called a guarantor, or they can do it on their own, but there's significant differences. So if you use a guarantor, a sponsor, you have to be 60. You get a 1-year quitas. You have to have proof of $3,000 per month income. That's right, $3,000. I'm not sure what that is in Australian money, Canadian money. You can do your own change, but this is not cheap, right? This is a lot more than before. Now, it doesn't say anything about hiring people, but that could be added on later when immigration releases their discussion about this or their rules about this. This is coming from the Hukum and from the Ministry of Law and Human Rights. Now, you can do this without a sponsor or a guarantor, and you get a 5-year visa, but you need to have the $3,000 per month, plus you need to put $50,000 in the bank, and you can't use that to live on. That's got to stay in the bank during the period of your visa. So, not cheap, but you get 5 years. So, if you can afford to pay $36,000 US a year, and you've got 50 grand that you can put in the bank, you can get this on your own without using a sponsor. That could save you a little money. So unfortunately, this is not as friendly for old people as before, and I'm going to talk about this at the end, so stick around to the end where I discuss what I think is going on here and where we may be going in the future with this, so stick around to the end. Okay, so that's the retirement visa. Sorry, folks, if you were just about to turn 55 and you were looking forward to this, you got another 5 years to go. Now, from what I understand in social media, there are agents still saying that they can get you the change in status, and if you come in on a B211, you can come in and they can get you the retirement visa. Well, according to this, that's not going to happen anymore. Whether that's being enforced or not is another story. But be careful, beware. Okay, let's talk about remote workers now. Okay, so let's talk about remote workers now. Foreign workers who are working remotely, called remote workers, in employment relations at companies that are not domiciled in Indonesia. That's how the remote workers are classified. So you make an application to the immigration officer appointed at the Directorate General of Immigration by attaching a number of documents. National passport valid for at least 6 months, proof of immigration guarantee, proof of having living expenses for the person and or his family while in Indonesia, recent color photograph, and other documents that explain the intention, purpose of the foreigner's arrival in Indonesia. Evidence of immigration guarantee, as referred to in paragraph 1, is the form of proof of income in the form of a salary or income of at least $60,000 a year. So, if you want to be a remote worker, you've got to be able to show, you've got to have a letter from a company overseas that says that you're employed by them and that you make at least 60 grand a year. So, if you were traveling around, you're a digital nomad, this is not for you unless you're making a lot of money. A lot of money. I think a lot of digital nomads making far less than 60 grand a year, but I don't know. I don't really know any digital nomads. I know some teachers who are digital nomads, but they're making nowhere near 60 grand a year. So this is if you're a remote worker. Now maybe you've got your own company at home. I used to have a friend who had a company at home and he was doing his work here. That kind of a visa would be perfect for him. He made way more than $60,000 a year. So that's the remote worker. So now we've got the retirement, or the elderly as it's called now, and the remote worker. And what about the second home visa? For the second home visa, you need to have a passport that's valid for at least 6 months, proof of immigration guarantee, proof of having living expenses for the person applying and or his or her family, recent color photograph, and other documents to explain the intention, purpose of the foreigner's arrival. Evidence of immigration guarantee consist of a statement of commitment to deposit funds in an account in his or her own name at a state-owned bank worth at least $130,000 US, or the equivalent, or a statement of commitment to purchase property in the form of flats or apartments in Indonesia worth at least 1 million US dollars, or the equivalent. And this needs to be made within 90 days of the issuance of the limited stay permit. So the second home visa, $1 million apartment or flat, or $130,000 in the bank, which has to be there. And immigration has a thing talking about how they're going to monitor. They are going to monitor this to make sure that you keep the money in the bank and that you're not taking it and living on it. So none of these are cheap. Now, you can still come in on the visit visa and you can still come in on the B211. These are for people that want to stay here for a while. And there's information about those, and I haven't gone through those, but it looked like, just skimming through it, it looked like everything was the same. Now, what's all this about? Okay, money. The government wants more money. Now, if you've been following the channel, you know that I've been talking about this for months and months. The government's been talking about this, and I've been responding to it, saying that they want high quality people, meaning people with money. They don't want cheapos. They're getting tired, apparently, of these stories of people running out of money and not being able to pay for things and begging and borrowing and stealing and blah, blah, blah. And so they're looking for upscale people. Now, this is going to upset a lot of people, I know. And we've had this discussion here before about backpackers and their importance. And they're still going to be able to come in. They are just not going to be able to afford probably some of these visas. Of course, maybe they're rich backpackers. I don't know. But if you want to stay here, you're going to have to pay. Now, the visas for people that are married to an Indonesian national, those look the same, and I haven't gone through all of the, it impacts me, and so I did kind of do a quick scan, and it looked to me to be pretty much the same. But I've got to go through that. And as I said, I don't know what's going to happen with renewal. Now, I'm on a permanent visa, but are the conditions going to change when I go next year? Because last time they said, yeah, you're done now, no more paying, just show up in 5 years from now, we'll see you, and all you got to do is report, and then you're good to go. And so I'm hoping that that's true. So this is putting into effect, the way I see it, the government's desire to get more quality people here, meaning more people with money and getting some money in their banks, right? Let's put some money in banks. A lot of money for business. The investor stuff, wow, that has gone way up. And as I said, it's complicated to me. I don't know really anything about that. I just looked, and it looks like it's 10 to 15 times more money than before. So it's getting more expensive to live here. And people are going to say, I'll go to Thailand. Okay, certainly a valid response. Now, there's a news channel, kind of like this, but the guy has, I think, 100 times as many subscribers as I do. And he talks about the same kind of stuff that I do, but he's got a much nicer voice, and he's much prettier than I am. And he said that there are going to be changes in the visa laws, and I did not see that video. I think it came out just the other day, and I haven't seen that, so I'm going to take a look at that. But you're going to need to be aware of that if you're thinking, okay, Thailand is where I'm going. Make sure that you know what's happening there with visa changes. People might say the Philippines. Okay, and I think the Philippines are cheaper, and I know a couple of Americans that live there, and they've got some pretty nice places on the beach for $400 a month, 400 US dollars a month. Nice places. Not as exotic as a traditional Balinese house, but nice places to live. And the last time I looked, the immigration laws for the Philippines were much more conducive for living long term than it may be here. I don't know, and I need to do that. And I'm going to start doing some research on the Philippines just in case things go south for me next year. And then there's Vietnam and Malaysia, but Malaysia's not cheap, and I heard they bumped up their ante in terms of money that's required. And what else have you got? Laos, I don't know anybody that lives in Laos. Cambodia, okay, so Cambodia, Vietnam, the Philippines, Thailand. Singapore is expensive, of course. Malaysia is also expensive. So there are a number of different places around Southeast Asia that you could go. And don't forget, there's Central America, and there's places in Eastern Europe that I heard are pretty cheap and good for digital nomads. So that may be what happens. The government may lose some people that were planning on staying here because of these new laws. But it's their country, it's their game. And so, yeah, that's the decision they made, and whatever happens, well, they'll respond to it in one way or another. They'll keep things the way they are, or they'll loosen things up some. There's no telling. You know what I always say? We'll just have to wait and see. So there's a lot of stuff to cover in there. I just took the highlights, the stuff that I think would impact people that watch this channel. You know, my little band of 400 to 500 people. That's what I was looking for. In terms of all the other stuff, yeah, it's there. If you want to, you can do it. If you have questions, please don't ask me any investor questions. I'm not gonna go through the investor stuff and look at it. It's just too much of a headache for me. If you're an investor, you've got the money to invest because it's going to cost you some money. Well, I'm sure you're going to want to translate that by yourself anyway and go through it with a fine-tooth comb. So that is it. I hope I didn't ruin your day. If you are on any of the Facebook forums about Bali, you'll find a lot of discussion going on right now, and some of it is, well, we're going somewhere else. This is not friendly for us. And worries. But as I said, the main thing right now is if you've got a visa, it's in place, or if it is already in process, you are okay right now. So don't worry about them pulling the rug out from under you. I know the last time this happened, there were a number of channels, I'm not going to mention which ones, but they immediately went into panic mode and said stuff that was not true, and people got very upset. So don't go into a panic mode. This is not going to affect you right now, unless you're getting ready to, let's say, apply for a retirement visa next week. Okay, that could affect you. But if you've got it, you're good for the length of your visa. What do you think? Remember, be polite. Do not say things that could get me into trouble, because I will delete them because of the ITE law, and I do not want to be deported before my visa is up next year. So keep your comments calm and rational, please. Okay, I hope you have a good day. I hope you have a good weekend coming up. I'll be back again next week. I think it's time to put my passport application in process and get some other things done and start doing some research on other countries just in case. Always good to have a backup plan. So thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today, stay safe, and see you next week.